You're watching BBC One. In around about 10 minutes, the very real possibility that your moment of calm post-video meditation will be spoiled by yet another advert for Grammarly or Google Home Mini. When will they get the hint that you don't give a damn? That's after an idiot with Asperger's who thinks he's more hilarious than he actually is, ranting about how the Tsuranga Conundrum is perhaps one of the worst episodes of modern-day Doctor Who since the last one. Please be advised that he does not know how to hold a microphone, and so some of his P's and S's may land in your face. We've tried to toilet train him, but the sad man simply cannot. Look, can you shut up and let me get on with this video, right? Because I desperately need to get this off my chest, otherwise it's gonna fucking crush me. Okay, just run the titles. Okay, just give me a moment to get me running shoes on, right? And then I'll get the next train to the titles. It's a plot of land full of green fields. I believe. But that absurdist wordplay makes you feel all clever, doesn't it? Just fucking press that down! No, don't drag me like that! Ow! Okay, so you may wish to sit down, right? Because though I haven't actually started this review yet, I strongly suspect in my usual modest fashion that it'll be quite a hard-hitting piece of YouTube content, akin to having your head smashed through a pane of glass. The thing is, this episode really pissed me off in a way that hardly any other episode has, more so than, say, Hell-Bent or Arachnids in the UK, and it still pisses me off every time it crosses my mind, and here's why. Let me take you back to what must have been late October in 2018. I just started sixth form, I didn't have a grade 5 in music theory, but apart from that I wasn't that different, which is slightly depressing. But anyway, I came home to find Doctor Who magazine in my letterbox with exclusive synopses for episodes 3 to 6. They didn't really excite me that much, with the exception of episode 5, which sounded very intriguing. It was going to be called the Tsuranga Conundrum, and it was about the Doctor and friends getting injured and becoming patients in an alien hospital, then facing a deadly threat and having to band together with a group of strangers to survive. Something like that, at least. Naively overlooking the group of strangers bit, I thought, oh goody, so it's basically going to be like a cross between some dark, surreal hospital dramas, like, say, Inside Victor Lewis Smith, and the good old Base Under Siege Doctor Who story, both of which I like. That's why I was interested to see what the Tsuranga Conundrum had to offer. That's why I thought it had promise as an initial concept, unlike Arachnids in the UK, which was doomed from the start, due to it using very few ingredients, and those ingredients being rather trite. And that's why on Sunday the 4th of November 2018, I sat for 50 minutes, and I watched, as all that promise I'd built up in my mind quickly evaporated. When the episode ended and the credits rolled, I breathed a huge sigh of relief, something I only ever recall doing when the time of The Doctor first aired, and that's an episode I've since warmed to. My dad, who was equally bemused, asked me if Chris Chibnall took psychotropic drugs. I'd wanted and expected a dark, tension-filled episode that focused on the battle with the monster. Instead, I got a hodgepodge of an episode that decided to focus on trying to be fun and kooky and melt your heart with moving, well-developed character stories to the point of attempting it 6 times, just to be sure, only to fail at meeting either of those criteria. I mean, call me fussy or self-entitled or whatever, but no wonder I was disappointed. Look, with an alien hospital, it's inevitable that besides the Doctor and her companions, and I still refuse to adopt the official term fam on general principles, there will be additional patients. It would probably look odd if there weren't. But like Praxius the following year, there are simply too many supporting characters. One of which, Astos, gets killed off after about 15 minutes if memory serves, which shows how useful he was to the plot. I don't care about any of these characters. I just want to get on with the actual battle against the monster, which shows how successful Chibnall is compared to Russell T Davies or even Moffat at writing 3-dimensional supporting characters. Okay, so at least Astos' death gets rid of the life pods and an easy escape, but you don't need that pilot with the heart condition. You don't need her brother that's manufactured from 100% NDF. Basically, I'm trying to say he's wooden. And don't even get me started on the pregnant man, as by the time I've worked out exactly why he's there and taking up so much screen time, and what exactly he adds to the episode, the crack of doom will be appearing in the sky. As you come to think of it, did we really need any other supporting characters than the medics who run the ship? The monster is still the main driving force of the story. It affects what happens during the episode and does present a threat, but with the script choosing to focus on the character aspect in a desperate bid to throw in some pathos, it sometimes doesn't feel that way. There's a scene where we've already been introduced to said creature, and we know it's eating its way through the ship, and it's a mere matter of time before everyone on board is left to suffocate in space. Yet Ryan and Yaz are just casually strolling along the corridor as though nothing's happening, calmly talking about how Ryan lost his mother. I remember what I first thought when this bit happened on first transmission. Just fucking get on with it! So, the monster feels underused, and what's more, it's called the Pating, which makes me doubt whether the writers behind this were really taking the monster seriously.
Did you have a name in mind for this monster?
Oh, sorry lads. Pating.
Pating?
Yep.
Oh, I like it a lot. Good work, Tim.
The Pating's main raison d'etre is that it eats. That's it. It eats. It just eats anything non-organic. Yeah, not the strongest idea, but it could have worked, right? It could have posed a threat and been a much-needed opportunity to pitch Jodie Whittaker's Doctor against a serious, scary villain to prove she had what it takes. Because even though we'd already had a monster of that kind in the form of Tim Shaw in episode 1, you can hardly get enough of that for a Doctor's first series. But the execution, I mean, just that one scene where we first see the Pating was enough to give me nightmares for life, not to mention a permanent squirm that has already led to me getting concussion twice. I've just seen the weirdest thing on my TV.
What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck?
I don't know what it is, but it looks quite green.
What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck?
It's worse than a watermelon in a plane crash.
What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck?
Sweet Jesus Christ, who wrote this trash?
What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck?
Okay, so for those who prefer constructive criticism to a cheap laugh, let us analyse this particular moment in 4K resolution equivalent detail. We'll just overlook the jerky staccato Clone Wars level animation of the Pating as it gobbles the metal, because that was likely just an unfortunate consequence of the limited budget they had to work with. We'll then overlook the design of the Pating, which makes it look like a cute crossover between a rip-off of Disney's Stitch and a manga gremlin, which is far from being scary and a sort of formidable opponent that can be taken seriously. I mean, you could have had a snake. That could have been small and nimble enough to easily navigate its way through the bowels of the ship, yet still be taken seriously. But no, you needed to sell some Doctor Who branded plush toys, so you went with the manga gremlin instead. But the money generated from merchandise is important, I guess. So as I say, we shall overlook this. You know what? Let's also overlook the terrible acting during this bit, with the pitching being all over the place, as the actors, to be fair, had nothing to act with because the Pating was CGI and couldn't be there on the day due to an upset stomach and it's a diva and all that. We'll also overlook how that lady medic, whose name I can't remember, find out that her mentor has just been killed, and then it's just glossed over. We'll also overlook the eating of the Sonic, which could have been an opportunity, Fifth Doctor style, to get rid of the Sonic altogether and make the Doctor actually have to think about things, as opposed to constantly resorting to a Deus Ex Machina. But it's here, undermined by the Sonic recharging itself after a while for reasons. It's just too much to overlook, isn't it? I mean, compare what Doctor Number 5 says when his Sonic is destroyed.
I feel as though you've just killed an old friend.
To Number 13's reaction in a similar situation, which is played for cheap laughs by both the script and actor. Finally, this story somewhat reminds me of Warriors of the Deep. You know, with the sets that are very brightly lit, not to mention the often atrocious acting. Not that there was much material for the actors to work with in the first place, as the writers were all clearly stoned and confused and didn't have a bloody clue what they were doing. So, although you're discouraged in GCSE English classes from saying in conclusion, the Tsuranga Conundrum gets its priorities all wrong. It is therefore wronger than the Holocaust, as enjoyable to watch as an amputation in a grey building site, accompanied by the sound of a patronising and badly mixed cover of Doctor in Distress that's been distorted to the point of hurting your ears. Watching it gives me some idea of what it would be like to launch my face into a red-hot fire, or dislocate my fingers after trapping them in a lift, or being stabbed repeatedly in the chest, or inserting a pen into one of my eye sockets and out the other, or dipping my genitals into acid, or jumping in front of a bus. Don't interrupt me, I haven't finished!
No, back to the hospital,
I've got
come
plenty
on.
more! I
back
need
to
to
the
tell
hospital.
everyone that the Tsuranga Conundrum is shit! I think they can probably guess. I have a note!
That's a bus ticket.
But it's got writing on it, so surely it counts as a note, right?
You're just delaying the inevitable. Look, just hold still. This won't
no,
hurt a bit,
what are
right?
you doing with that syringe? This is against the
just-
Geneva
just try and
Convention.
relax.
You are a pathetic
Relax.
asinine excuse of a
That's better, isn't it?
Hey, give me your
Back to the
answer
hospital.
too. I'm half crazy over you.
You're too close to the mic now.
I can't afford a carriage, but you're the queen of This is BBC One. In around about 10 minutes, the very real possibility that your moment of calm post-video, not boast video meditation, you dipstick.